Hey everybody, welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate the Star Wars movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
I'm Greg Iwinski from the Yub Nub podcast and the Twitter account Gary Jackson.
That's right. Welcome to the show, first timer, Greg.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Very excited.
Yeah. Now so you're on the Yub Nub show with our guest who has just been back, not too long ago, for his repeat appearance, which is Tim Barnes, right?
Yes, Tim and I know each other from back in Chicago. We were improvisers together and comedians in Chicago like 10 years ago, and then just have continued to stay friends. And
nice.
Then, eventually talked about Star Wars so much we thought we should probably do a show or something.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's how it happens. That's how they get you. Well, thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about minute 114 of Solo, a Star Wars party. 114, it starts with Dryden Vosk asking Tobias Beckett, "What you doing?" And it ends with Han Solo telling Dryden, "You go first." So he's, I think Dryden Voss is texting Beckett. He's like, "Hey, what you doing? You up?" Yeah. But yeah, we're in the middle of a double cross here.
Right. This is a
double, triple cross.
Very strong standoff. I don't know what the new name for a Mexican standoff is. I'm sure we don't call it that anymore.
No.
But very much a big standoff energy here.
Hmm.
Also, how many minutes are in Solo? I should know. This has got to be near the end.
You don't have to know. It's our job to know, and I don't know off the top of my head. I'm going to say 125.
We're right. We're right near the juicy resolution.
135.
It's got to be more than that.
Yeah.
135.
135. But
nothing to cut in this thing. Nothing. Not a minute to trim.
Well, it's interesting. We've been saying, we don't get a point for it in this week, but we've been saying it does kind of break down so far into nice kind of like 25, 30-minute chunks. So like it really almost seems like it was planned to be. I mean, I know it wasn't, but it seems kind of ripe for the release it as a miniseries.
They could have done the Kenobi slide.
Right. Everybody do the Kenobi slide.
Yeah. Hello there. Hello.
And I think so. If there's still, I know there's some, they don't want to call this a failure, this movie, but they also really wish they had made more money off of it. I think go the I hate to say it, but go to Snyder Cut route kind of a thing. Go release it on Disney Plus, break it into chunks, add in some more of the stuff that we know that they filmed, and some bonus extra stuff, like throw in some extras of people, either commentary talking about it, other stuff that they filmed, throw it in there, make it a 5-episode event series.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to still talk about in this universe. I mean, what Charles Soule's done with Kira. I mean,
right.
That's been blown out, but also Enfys Nest, maybe it's because I'm biracial and I was immediately like, hey, why can we have that person do more? Maybe. But like Enfys Nest, a whole show or part of a show, or, to have something to do. Such an interesting character, great design, so interested. And then kind of
really not, I don't keep up with the comics and the books as much as I want to, but I think, Alex, the last week or two ago, you told me not a lot has been done with Enfys Nest after the fact.
Yeah, they did one story where she brings the gold press latinum to Saw Gerrera after the events of Solo, but other than that, like, she hasn't shown up as like, a friend of Mon Mothma or anything like that. So, a lot to still fill in. They're still filling in that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, as a black person who wants to be making some Star Wars, I'm like, Enfys Nest, Saw Gerrera, that I got ideas. Also, this is not on purpose, which I think is more ridiculous, that I have my Lucasfilm Yoda mug and my Lucasfilm shirt on. That's just the percentage of things I own that are
nice. That's just how you dress. That's
sheer coincidence.
Yeah. We know you're committed.
And yes, I am drinking coffee at 11:15 at night because that's what my life requires.
That's why we're here. So the minute starts off with Tobias saying, he's like, "What are you doing?"
What's he doing?
Dryden Voss is like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm thinking, and I prefer to be the only one holding a blaster when I do it." I think it's a great line. Do we ever hear people refer to guns? Like we hear about guns, like 20 guns, some on the surface, some on the tower, but I don't think we ever hear guns referred to as like a personal weapon. It's always blasters. So
I'm sure in a book, or something. It's because in the books, as someone who reads all of them, there are definitely slips where it's like he went to the toilet or bathroom, and you're like, no, somebody didn't check that. And then that small detail ruins my experience, and I totally vlog about it.
My childhood was ruined by a slip up like that, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, but it's mostly blasters. I mean, no blasters is
right.
I'm wondering if that's a result, because I know when Star Wars first came out way back in the 70s, it was that post-Vietnam era, and there was a lot of parents who didn't like the idea of their kids playing war and shooting guns and stuff, so maybe they could call it blasters. No, these aren't guns, they're blasters. That's nothing to do with that kind of stuff.
So. Blast it, will ya? My gun's jammed.
What's that from?
That's from Star Wars, the motion picture. That's in the trash compactor.
William?
Blast it, will ya? Will you?
Oh, blast it, will ya?
Will ya?
Blast it, William?
Blast it, William. My gun is jammed. We can't take another. Sorry, I don't know what that is. But like, blast it, William. My gun is jammed.
Oh, yeah. The movie then. Are you talking about the movie retitled as A New Hope?
Yes.
Okay. I was just making sure.
And that I guess I never really,
it's hard to hear. Yeah.
They're there's a bad sound in that scene in general. But I mean, it sounds neat, but it sounds hard to make out what's going on most of the time.
Yeah. The Dianoga's lines all get lost.
I know. It's what does he have to say? We want to hear his point of view.
Yeah. Sure. There's a whole chapter in A Secret Point of View about.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm really diving. This is revealing to me how Star Wars nerdy I am.
That's good. That's good.
Doing all these things.
Come to the right place.
Yeah. So that's the only one so far that I can find. I'm doing some quick background. Gundark. That's close. But yes, Blast It, William, my gun's jammed is so far the only Newt Gunray.
Yes, but that's not about a gun, is it? It's about a president. I miss when Star Wars wasn't political, like when we named people after Ronald Reagan.
Right, yeah.
And Trent Lott.
Right.
Dude, Lott Dodd is insane. Like, that's the one where you're like, he's swinging for the fences here.
Yeah.
And I guess like he's pretty much, I feel like he's kind of forgotten today as a politician. So it's funny to think that he'll live on as a footnote for Star Wars nerds. This was a reference to a politician at the time.
George was so mad at him that he named a person after him, and you're like, who's this?
Right.
What?
Right. It's like the Mad Magazine thing, Spiro Agnew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would have liked it if it was almost more personal. It was like the person who gives out building contracts in the San Rafael township. That he's like, I'm going to stick it to that guy.
Yeah.
There could be some that are named after the.
Yeah, that's true. His name was Philip Watto.
It's like the shark in Jaws is named after Spielberg's lawyer, that kind of a thing. So
you're a shark for life. And then Beckett calls Chewie big stuff, which I also like.
Big stuff.
Who does he think he is?
I mean, Chewie feels like ready. He feels aggrieved immediately upon seeing him in this scene, in this minute. And like, just not the level of respect you should be showing a being that probably you could shoot and would still kill you.
Right.
That's a good question. Chewie has been shot a couple of times.
He's strolling like he's like, yeah, man, this is voluntary.
Yeah, like really, that does indicate that he's just like, all right, like he's going with the flow. And there is a little bit of a look between him and Han, but still, it whatever it is, I think Chewie would have no problem just kind of
snapping Han's neck,
floating to the top and being whatever, whoever ends up winning this standoff. He's like, yeah, I was with you the whole time.
I mean, I definitely, that look they have is a we are communicating a ton of information,
right,
without saying anything. Look, like, in the sense that what I get from that is that's like, we're going with plan C. Okay, we both know what that is, that kind of a, like, we've got it.
Right, set 271 or slip 63 hole, like all these things. It's just like, oh, yeah,
Omaha.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
I still wish they had called back to the fact that Han spoke. What's the Wookiee language called? Sherwook. I like this would have been a perfect time for him to be like,
absolutely. Yeah. That's in the extended cut that we're getting later.
That's what I was talking about with that. When they make it into a series, it'll be just like minutes upon minutes of just talking.
I mean, of that part in this minute, I think that the mistake that Beckett is making here as well is like, don't monologue around Han Solo, because you're giving him time. You're giving him time to think, and you don't want to do that. So many people make this mistake in Star Wars. Talk about Han, talk why you hate him, talk about the revenge you're getting, what he did you. This is just, you're just helping him. Greedo almost got it right, because he only said a couple things. He came in quick, he had the gun out, he's like, oh, you going somewhere? And then boom.
And he still managed to get a shot off too, which most people don't see him too.
I don't think so. We'll have to check the tape on that one, but I don't.
off a magnetized wall or whatever it bounces on. Gosh.
But yes, they do tell Beckett Voss tells Beckett that he's making a huge mistake. And he says, wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't be the first one. What does it say? Wouldn't be the first? I forgot exactly, but then
something like that. I didn't write it down.
It could be your last. And I was wondering, is that ever does that ever work out to tell somebody they're making a mistake, a huge mistake?
No one ever turns around. And goes,
no one's ever like, oh, you're right.
I mean, in a romantic comedy, yes, but that's after they say it, and then 30 minutes later, they're running through the rain in Manhattan, to realize it was a mistake. But not in this situation.
To get to the airport.
There's something about, I don't know, like Paul Bettany at this point in this, someone who it looks that pained with those streaks all over their face. That I don't think you side with that guy, because that guy he's already on the way out. This is not the winner in this situation, no matter what. Like, this is not cool, strong Vision swimming into an Avengers movie. This is a dude who's like, I look half dead. I'm already in a sling. Like, I'm pulling it together. So yeah, Beckett, everyone has the upper hand over him is what I'm saying.
I like how he, I apologize to the people who are not watching our YouTube channel, but I like, he does like a kind of vampire kind of Voss does a kind of like vampire thing where he has one hand pointing forward and one hand slightly back, and almost like he's trying to hypnotize him into giving up. I like that. Maybe those are one of his superpowers. We don't know what his species is capable of.
He's like in full regular Earth nightclub clothes. That's not Star Wars suit and jacket. That's a regular, like, he might have come to set with that and been like,
he was only on the set for like 3 days, right?
Yeah,
or something.
Like, well, we need it. And he was wearing the same suit the whole time. He just
and it's just wild that it's like, that might just be his clothes. And he was like, yeah, he'd wear this. And they're like, you're Paul Bettany, man. We're going to say yes.
We'll fix it in post.
They're desperate.
You know what? Let's just leave it.
It's fine. He's a businessman.
Yeah.
I think, because I haven't seen this movie since it came out, and I didn't remember Paul Bettany was the villain until I saw this minute.
Well, villain, it's a certain point of view. Yeah, where did you see it?
I saw it. What year did this come out? 2018?
18? No. 18, I think.
I saw this at the... in the summer of 2018, I assume?
Yeah, it was May.
It's like May.
Like Memorial Day weekend of 2018.
I saw it in the... Memorial Day weekend.
I like this jogging your memory.
Yeah, I was right when I was moving to New York. I'm trying to think.
You see a pre or post move?
Yeah, I think it was just post, which would mean it was the AMC Lincoln Square in Manhattan. And I would have seen it. Oh, and I saw it in IMAX.
Oh.
And what I remember was I saw it and thought, I love Star Wars, but as is clear, but my whole life and body type and everything. But I was like, I could watch the rest of this at home probably about halfway through because I was just like not wowed. And then I looked over and my wife was asleep and I was like, that was when they were in the wormhole thing or like jumping through an octopus in space or something. And
jumping through an octopus in space.
Space-topus.
Remember? I don't know. Now I don't know because I got the galactic map when I was at Star Wars Celebration, the new Del Rey, I think, galactic map that they have. So I've been digging through that every time I'm reading or watching or hearing something, I'm going like, okay, where they went from here to here, here to here, here to,
like you have to pause it first and go look on the map and be like, oh, okay.
I straight up will do that,
nice.
Which really changes the Kenobi finale when you realize they went across the galaxy to get from that planet where Darth Vader was to Tatooine is literally corner to corner on the map, and he got there in like 15 minutes. And I don't know if the droid helped him compute a faster route, but I was just like, I didn't know you could go that fast. Which again doesn't ruin it for me, but I'm just like, you've done my favorite thing in Star Wars, which is every time you make a mistake, we just have to make another thing later that fixes the mistake.
We're going to explain how they're going to do a mini series that takes place in between him leaving Tatooine and then arriving, all sorts of crazy adventures during that time.
It's just such a fun, I call it buttressing on YubNub. We talk about it a lot on the podcast about that. There's content built to buttress other content, like Shadow of the Sith, which just came out and is an incredible book. It's a Legends book in a non-Legends canon. Like in the sense that it is written like a Legends book. Luke Skywalker, who is in it, is the Legends Luke Skywalker that's like, I'm in control of all of my powers all of the time. It is so recognizable tonally and structurally as a Legends kind of EU book. And so for them to drop that in after these couple of years of making this new canon, I was like, this is a crazy bold risk. It's very fun. I like it a lot, but it's like, you're like, if you read the old books, you're like, I recognize so much of how this is all, because it's Luke and Lando. So it's characters, and they're like doing all this crazy stuff, but it's all about Ochi of Bestoon. And it's all buttressing. So it's all buttressing 9. And so all of it's going like, no, all this stuff matters. All this stuff matters. And it's just so funny to watch it get built and propped up about like what's going on. But
when does it take place?
It takes place now. It is, yes, it's now. It takes place 10 years after, maybe 10 years after Jedi. No, maybe 6 years, something like that. Like in that gap.
So Mandalorian-ish times. It's
Mandalorian-ish for sure. It's because Luke has just started the temple. Ben is still there and is training. Rey's parents are alive, and so she's very small. She's like 5 or 6 years old. Yeah, and so like we're gonna do an episode of it on YubNub because they're both reading it now, and I just finished it a couple days ago, and it's a wild book. But it's funny because it is so explicitly designed to buttress 9, because when the crazy thing is you finish this book and you go, they should make a movie following this up. And then
they did.
All right. And it seems like after this book you could make a special edition of 9 that then like had much more context. I don't know how it all goes. I'm the guy who thinks that I would like to remake the prequel trilogy without changing a word of the script. Yeah, I think they would still be incredible with different sets, actors, and directing.
Yes. Yeah, that third one is the important part.
The directing being a large one, because the I Hate Sand line could actually be done really, really well with good directing. Another example of this would be, I watched the Kenobi finale last night again, but I watched it with my wife. And
she fell asleep.
You're 10 years old, but you won't always be, if directed poorly, would have been incredibly creepy.
Yeah.
Like you could see 8 different ways that line would be mocked and not good. Yeah. But directed well, it was like powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it came up during what I think our Phantom Menace season or one of those. Just like there's stuff in here that's good, and not even, you could do it if going from the original scripts. That's the important part, not the scripts that was my caveat. Not the script, not the shooting script, not the way they ended up, but like essentially not a transcript. But if you go from like, remember when the merchandise bonanza when the Phantom Menace came out, they published like, hey, they annotated screenplay, and it had the Doug Chiang illustrations and all the cool stuff. And that was the kind of pre-casting draft. And so Anakin is like 12, I think, and a handful of things that are in there are like good ideas that somehow got thrown off to the wayside. So I think go with those. I support your plan.
Thanks. I would actually leave the pod race exactly how it is.
Sure.
Then you don't have to work at redoing it. All that stays fine. You just swap out the face of Anakin or whatever. But then, yeah, you could, that'd be great. Even the next two, I think you could make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, none of that has to do with this minute of Solo.
That's funny. What's up?
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, I asked just out of curiosity, how old were you when the prequels came out?
15.
15. Okay.
I saw Phantom Menace 7 times in the theater.
7. Nice.
I saw Wing Commander in the theater just to see the Phantom Menace teaser trailer where the Gungans come out of the mist.
Yeah.
That was at Palm Valley Cinemas in Goodyear, Arizona. It is no longer a theater. I believe it's an abandoned building.
That's the Phantom Menace effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say we should go find it. Just start showing the Phantom Menace there.
Yeah.
Well, no, show Wing Commander, but the preview of the Phantom Menace. Yeah.
Man, Matthew Lillard and Freddie Prinze Jr. come back again in a
and Mark Hamill
supposed to launch a franchise
in it a little bit, right?
Yes, because he was in the game, and I think he did a cameo because he was also in the game.
Right. Yes, I also went to see that in Manhattan, but not at the AMC.
I will also say about this minute is Coaxium has not come back. Right.
You think it's due
That's
for a
what's
comeback?
wild. Yeah, I mean, we need some more Coaxium based content.
It's the midichlorians of the Disney era.
Because it comes up in this, and then it's also in the ride.
Oh, is it in the ride in the Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah, the goal of is to salvage as much Coaxium as you can on your supply run, so you can deliver it or whatever. So Coaxium there, Coaxium here, but then it's like not even a mention of Coaxium in any of the shows. Like, let's get some. So I'm hoping in Andor there's some like we blew up a Coaxium factory or some,
right.
Let's
for some guy is named like, hey, that's Coaxium Steve. Like,
yeah,
just something that we keep it in there. Yeah. Well, I do like the idea of Coaxium and midichlorians just like sitting on a shelf, being like, oh yeah, they were popular for a little bit, but
midichlorians, Coaxium, Star Wars detours, right? Just all on the shelf together.
The lost Star Wars iceberg. We could
Now, if you guys were in a room full of trained killers. And suddenly, and suddenly there was a moment at which you had to run and grab something to fight the trained killers with. How low on your list would be 2 short knives?
It's well, technically those are Kyozo Petars.
Yes.
That's what those things are called. But yes, I agree with your sentiment that it seems, but also, we're going to learn later tomorrow that Han's actually very bad. He doesn't take advantage of his advantage that he has, that this guy has knives and Han has a gun.
It's like there's there's a phrase. You're bringing a knife to a gunfight. And this guy voluntarily dives over and goes, what'll I take? The decorative knives.
Not even sharp. They're just for ceremonial purposes.
Yeah, he gets it. Right. I mean, because Kira also has a gun, I believe. Or does she not?
I don't think she has it in a scene because they had to hand in their guns when they came in.
So Kira has nothing. So Kira's at least okay. So Kira is losing. Kira has nothing, then knife, then gun.
Yeah,
but there's so much stuff in this. There's so many collectibles in this room.
And I've just got to think. I mean, it's.
Do you think that's his nerd kind of side showing? Like he's got all these collectibles. He doesn't want to, open up the case. Like, no, that's a limited edition, official Zam Wessel blaster. Like, I don't want to take that out of the,
Oh, Zam Wessel blaster that never gets used because she's busy hiring a droid to do her work.
Yeah.
Well, the droid hired a bug to do it, so
that's the whole. I mean, the level of outsourcing on this Wessel thing. The fact, she shouldn't have died, but she kind of deserved it. It's That's so lazy, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's another. As far as we know, we haven't seen another Sam Wessel. But it seems like a shapeshifter would be a pretty handy superpower to have in the Star Wars universe.
What a wild thing to introduce and then go like, never again will this matter. That there's a race out there that can shapeshift. Although I will. She was
the last of her kind.
Ooh, I actually know. They're referenced in another place, which is in the funniest Star Wars show, which is the Lego Freemaker Adventures.
Well, the
in Lego Star Wars Freemaker Adventures, there is because I think she's called a Qualidon. They have to sneak into an Imperial auction, and so the sister, Cordy Freemaker, she dresses up as a princess, and they say, "Oh, well, you're a Qualidon, but you don't look like this." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm a shapeshifter. I'm wearing this face." And they say, well, can you match her ID? And she's like, do you know how offensive that is to ask me to just change my face? How dare you? I'm going to call the Emperor. Beep, bop, boop, boop. And so then they let her in. But I remember now that when the real princess shows up, she gets arrested for impersonating the princess. But the face is the same as the face of Sam Wessel when she is dead. So I just... Freemaker Adventures, even if you're not a kid, it's an incredible show. The jokes are so good and they don't stop coming. I love that show so much.
I've seen the Droid Tales and I've seen some of the Freemaker Adventure shorts, but I've never watched the actual series. I forgot there was a whole series.
It's 2 seasons and it's very funny and solid jokes and it's very nice. They have a Hutt character who is so dang funny. Graballa the Hutt.
Isn't that who is that? Who plays that?
That's not Jabba's friend.
Dana Snyder plays it.
Plays Dana Snyder.
Yes.
But there's so many good. Yeah, there's so many good people in it. Yes, from Aqua Teen. Yes, and he is an aggrieved cousin of Jabba who dreams of opening a resort one day as his big thing.
And then that was part of the plot of the Lego Star Wars Halloween special or holiday special, one of the specials.
Yeah, the holiday special, because they time travel or whatever, and then they go to his. He finally gets to open it, and then it gets all destroyed.
Right.
Yeah, he's my favorite character. I would, if I could make any show about one character, it would probably be Graballa the Hutt. Just a guy trying to make an honest buck by making an all-inclusive resort. It's the dream.
It is, really.
We've been talking. So Han and starts shooting, and one of the things he blows up is the crystal skulls we've been talking about throughout the entire movie. The blue skulls that are there in the background, from the cover of Han Solo. Yeah, it totally gets shattered.
Man,
yeah,
it's
what is it from a book?
Yeah, it's from the
way back.
Forgetting the name of it, but it's
Han
from the
Solo
cover
and the Lost Legacy.
Han Solo and the Lost Legacy. I'm forgetting.
Is that part of the trilogy? It's sold now as a trilogy of books.
Yes, original the Han Solo Adventures. Brian Daley one is not the AC
Crispin ones. Yeah.
Okay, I think I have that.
It was one of the earliest, I guess, EU, if you count that as EU or not. But that was one of the first Star Wars adventures beyond the movies.
Yeah, after Splinter of the Mind's Eye, but before a lot of the other stuff.
Yes. Okay. So I do believe I have this and have probably read and forgotten it, but the skull thing, and they destroy it as a.
I think it's a shot at Indiana Jones.
I'm glad that they destroy it because it was distracting me. And every scene that it was in, I'm like, hey, look, it's the skull from that thing. Look.
It'd be so funny if it was an Indiana Jones thing. That MacGuffin never worked. I mean, Spielberg kept trying to tell George that the aliens weren't going to work as MacGuffin. He told him that after the first one, George kept being like, the second one should be about aliens. Third one should be about aliens. And he was like, no. And then fourth one, he was like, I don't have anything. I guess I'll do George's aliens thing.
He wore him down.
And it went how it went. So turns out Steven Spielberg knows how to make movies.
We'll see what the next one. The next one is going to be. What did anyone? Anyway, not relevant to this one.
You know what the next one's going to be about? Racing cars in the 40s. That's what it's going to be about. George, what have you got? I don't know. The Red Tails, Indiana Jones and the Red Tails.
What was the other thing that he wanted to make some movie about? Fairies or gnomes or something?
He did make that.
Oh, right.
No, he made
Starstruck?
Strange Magic. Strange Magic. On Disney Plus now. You can watch it.
Oh. Is Robert De Niro in that? Who's in that?
I mean, I believe it's all animated, so anyone that they could get for 2 days of recording dialogue could be in it. Robert De Niro's in A Shark Tale.
Alan Cumming.
Right. Yeah, Martin Scorsese.
Kristen
too.
Chenoweth. Evan Rachel Wood. Maya Rudolph.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I think also everyone in this scene is lucky that the room is built for a bunch of people hiding from each other shooting guns.
It really is like a video game location. Like you can duck down
yeah.
behind. There's stuff to pick up. Like, do you want to pick up this and fight with it? Do you want to pick up this and fight with it?
I mean, it is a round room with an external ring of shelving to hide behind so that everyone can be as far apart as possible while still shooting at each other. I mean, obviously it's designed that way because you're writing. It's like my favorite thing about writing action and stuff is that it's like, how did the environment and everything line up this way? Well, because I went backwards. I need them to do this, so the room looks like this. I need them to do this, so the elevator works like this. You know.
Yeah, I do like that. It's there really should ammo should just appear every once in a while around a corner, and
or like gold coins float for a little bit and then they disappear after a couple of seconds.
Right. Yeah, that happens later. Spoiler alert: when somebody gets killed, I won't tell you who gets killed here, but when somebody gets killed in this room, they totally should have had coins pop up.
They disappear into a pile.
You know
of
how
coins.
you asked if You asked if when people say you're making a big mistake, does that ever happen?
Right.
I think on that list of questions is, hey, do you want to team up even though we're trying to kill each other right now? Should also be on the list of questions.
It should, I think they should have teamed up really at this point. I think
against Kira? Why? Oh.
Well, no, to go get Dryden.
You mean,
but that leaves Kira as a dangling participle, which is very scary because she could. You need all three of them to agree. I think if all three of them go, we're all going to go.
Dryden screwed us all over. Let's go get him.
Beckett.
Sorry. Beckett.
Yeah.
Why do I keep getting them confused?
Yeah. I think that, if them teaming, all three of them have just been screwed over. They all want to kill the same guy.
Yeah.
They all got locked in. Why can't they just go do that first, then come back and settle this after that?
Yeah. All right, here's how I'm going to play it out. Ready? They're hiding behind couches. They're shouting at each other. They're like, hey, you know what? We've all been screwed over by Beckett. Let's go get him. He's the source of all our problems. Okay. And they slowly, tensely kind of, get up. And they agree to go get him. And they walk over to the elevator. They hit the elevator button. The doors open up and Beckett's body just gets thrown out. And Chewbacca's just like, okay, what's going on? Where were we?
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't even see Chewbacca. You just see Beckett fall with his arms pulled out, and then you'd look out the window and see Chewie running off with all the coaxium.
I'll see you later, Han. Just text me.
Chewie's holding Beckett's arms, and Beckett's arms are holding the things of coaxium. There you go.
That's great. That's great. What do they do with them? I mean, they rip off the arms, then they beat you with them. But that's it. They don't eat the arms? They don't do any of that?
Oh, not savages.
Time, maybe, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Wookiees eat meat.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them trying to eat a lot of things, or a handful.
That's true. We saw Chewie try to eat some kind of squirrel meat that was on Endor.
Right.
And he ate a porg,
Oh, yeah.
He definitely cooked one.
Cooked one.
Yeah. Actually, ate several dozen before.
I don't think that was the first porg that we walked up on.
Yeah.
Also, so I don't think they'd have any qualms about eating a human because they're already eating sentient non-Wookiee creatures. So what is the difference between a porg and a human being to a Wookiee?
Taste. Maybe humans don't taste so good.
Also the amount of work to cook them. Porg, very easy. Rotisserie.
Right. Yeah, bite size.
Yeah. I got to go back to oh my gosh, I wish I remembered the name. To Chewbacca's family's house, to Lumpy's house.
Right, yeah.
Use their space oven. Cook a whole person.
Although that does make me think that when earlier in the movie when Weasel, who's the character played by Warwick Davis, when he shows up, Chewbacca had to be like, oh, I want to eat that guy.
So easy to eat.
Yeah. It would be like one of those cartoons where he would look over at Weasel and he would turn it into like a giant porg.
Yeah.
Oh, I use that
rotating porg. What's crazy is that, I love the Weasel continuity of this film as well. That is incredibly
the
nice
Weasel
moment.
continuity. That's the.
I hope he shows up in the expanded version of Episode 9. That would be a nice bit of closure to the Weasel storyline.
I believe he's in the comics somewhere as well. But yeah, he basically just keeps jumping from gang to gang to gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good on him.
Now, I do have to say, it's the masthead of Zim the Despot. That's the Corrections Department have handed me a slip. That's the name of the crystal skull here. The masthead of Zim the Despot.
The masthead.
The masthead of Zim the Despot.
So is that the head or is it
It's the crystal skull that's there. It's the
right. It's the masthead, so it's not Zim's
Maytag.
head.
Oh no, Maytag crystal.
They'll have to get a repairman in to
they
fix
have to
it.
get a Maytag repairman.
I don't know
busy.
about Zim. Interesting.
Yeah, let's see. There's a power. Yeah. So and it confirmed here it was the masthead of Zim the Despot is a masthead of Zim the Despot. Thanks, Wikipedia. Composed of Maytag crystal, it was part of Crimson Dawn Crime Lord Dryden Voss's personal museum on board the Star Yacht First Light and was destroyed during a skirmish aboard the yacht.
I hope he's insured.
If you're on a yacht in a Star Wars movie, nothing good's going to happen.
That's true.
Yacht, barge, anything like that, it's going bad.
Yeah. It's true. Just don't freighters, you're fine. Fighters, you're fine. But yeah, a yacht or anything like that.
Not necessarily.
No. Yeah, it's true.
Poor kids.
A lot of people blow up in fighters.
Yeah, fighter. If there's a close up of you in a fighter and you see one spark, bad. You're in trouble. I do wonder. There's a close up shot near the end of this minute of Voss's hand holding the knife.
Yeah,
which I think is such an interesting choice because it's like. Yeah, we know he has a knife though because we saw him take the knife. We saw him get it. He's holding the knife while he's talking, and then there's just one shot to make you go, "Hey, just so you know, he's got a knife." And
watch out!
I think it's
got a knife.
Such an interesting choice that it's a close up. Like he just said they want to team up, but then we show the knife to be like, "No, he's got a knife.
Don't trust him."
Yeah.
Well, just a knife guy.
See, that's like I don't know. That's one of the. Ron Howard goes both hot and cold at the same time in a lot of things. And sometimes I like, he's very artistic in what he does, makes deliberate choices that are like, oh, that's nice. Like it's a cool thing. Like I like, but then sometimes it's just kind of like that you're just doing it because that's what happens in movies. And I feel like he falls into that sometimes. And
I mean, he's a classicist, I think. And not a classist, a classicist.
Right. Yeah. We don't know about his feelings on socioeconomic politics, but he definitely has. He relies on some well-worn tools from time to time.
Yes, and I'm sure.
I think that knife shot is one.
In the Lord Miller version of that knife shot, it was a close-up while Hannah's going, "Hey, are you still holding that knife?" And then he's "Oh no, I'm not holding. Why would you?" And then it becomes a whole bit about the knife, and then we move on from there. So
and you hear it clang. No,
it's not a knife. Did you drop it or did you just bang it against the ground? No, I dropped it. Which I mean, eventually, as a comedy writer, especially, it's like eventually we're going to get a Star Wars movie that has that tone all the time. A movie where the entire tone of the movie is, "We're fine here. How are you?"
Right.
Like that.
Like a Guardians of the Galaxy of the Star Wars universe.
My hope is getting very vulnerable in my opinions and about other comedy writers, but my hope is possibly more of like a Jojo Rabbit, Taika Waititi-ish.
Well, that's
he's current movie notwithstanding.
He's the next one up, apparently.
Yeah, so that his in my dream world would be not particularly James Gunny, but would be more like Doc Afra done by Taika Waititi. So she's a wisecracking Indiana Jones going to get some sort of MacGuffin, possibly a head of Zim.
Yeah, the masthead of
I'm sorry, masthead of Zim. So
well, I hope that's true. I mean, we've spoken many times that the whole dark and gritty thing. It's time to kind of move away from that kind of stuff. Yeah. But Star Wars fans are very, very temperamental about that kind of stuff. We'll see.
Also, like it's for kids, and the stuff that's not for kids is for like you being a kid as an adult, because it's cool that they all have space swords and like laser ships and they blow each other up. And I take Star Wars very seriously, but I am not serious about Star Wars. Like it's for fun. Yeah. That's why we do it. So even in trying to make it, it's like it's for fun. So I agree with you. It's like we need some stuff that just is kind of like it doesn't have to mean something. I think I just finally saw Thor 4 today, and I thought one of the interesting things about it was that it did have the feeling of like, yeah, this doesn't really have to do anything. It's not. It doesn't have to be important. It doesn't have to be some hero. It doesn't even have to really fit into a larger like story arc. It's just like a dumb. It's like if you liked the comics in the 80s, this is that. Where you're like, I didn't think they could do this, and they're like, yeah, we didn't either, but we just did it, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And so I do think a little bit of, you know, kind of loose fun would be great. You know, I think there's an issue is that so often it feels like so often in film and stuff now, the out when you don't have real comedy writers writing comedy is that it just becomes someone sarcastically repeating something back to a person. Yeah. And that's the joke is like, hey, you're going to make it. Turn to your friends. He's not going to make it. And then those become the jokes every time. And that gets so boring that you need something that even if it's a dramatic show with a dramatic arc has actual comedy in it.
Well, and that's what you know, I think that's what this was hopefully leading towards, because this one has a good amount of fun in it, but it's also slightly penned in by what they felt like it had to do. Like, all right, we gotta cover these bases. And it's like, it's doing its homework at the same time as trying to have fun. And then it's like, well, then they were set up. And the next one would have been more all fun.
Right.
Small
now that they got all the plot points out of the way, they can let the next one breathe a little bit.
Showed how we got his name. We showed how we got the Millennium Falcon. We showed the Kessler Run. We ate our vegetables. Now let's have dessert. And like dessert was just canceled because dinner didn't go that well.
Although you could, like you could do a 6-episode quote unquote sequel.
In theory, there's still a Lando series on the books, but we'll see.
Yes.
I'll see it when I believe it.
That's so Tim Barnes, he's dying for it. And I'm like, don't hold your knives. I don't know if it's happening. But I think you could do a solo series easier than the Lando series for many reasons. Because you just got to bring back, or a Kira series or whatever, like a, you know, Crimson Dawn. You could do a Crimson Dawn series, whatever. Yeah. You know, any of that. I think that the Charles Soule run about Kira and Crimson Dawn and the frozen body of Han Solo, I mean, that, because there's no real main characters in that, you could do that as a whole show. So, a lot of great stuff.
There you go.
Well, that's all I have.
He is on board. I think he works at Lucasfilm as a consultant now. So, he's in-house. They can just take it. They own him.
It's too late. They've seen everything. Well, that's all I have for minute 114.
Yes, that's pretty much all I had. Did you, Greg, do you have anything else? Anything else from Solo that you were? I know you weren't awake for all of it, but was there anything that you did remember that you missed, that you're sad that you missed?
I will say that I really one piece of canon that I really enjoyed that Solo introduced was the white worms. Because they have popped up in several other places, but that is a creature that, like, you know, that's an ILM creature. When you see it, you know, like, it is so unique and immediately recognizable. And then you see it in any other part of Star Wars, you're like, I know about those terrifying, creepy things. It's the thing that, like, not to get too deep into it, but I think there are monsters that when you're so young, they're not scary because you don't know they're scary yet. So like you're like 4 and you see that white worm and you're like, that's a big worm. That's a big weird worm lady. That's odd. And then when you see it when you're 7, you're like, I'm so scared. But then you see it when you're 15 and you're like, oh, cool monster. And so I think that is such a great, unique addition that they've gotten more mileage out of other places. But that's of the canonical additions. That's one that I think is a very cool one in this film.
Then eventually you get to the next level. You're in your, 30s, 40s, and you're just like, oh my God, like somebody had to sit there and do that all day. Like that becomes the scary part. Be like, oh God, somebody had to sit in there.
So puppeteer a white worm in a weird puddle.
Yeah. Well, Greg, great to have you on. Thanks for hopping on to talk about Solo. We will now. What overall? Now I know you're excited about the book that sets it up, but Rise of Skywalker, yay, nay?
I've seen it 2 times. Both times were opening night, back to back. And
wow.
I'm a TLJ guy. Loved it, very good. I would let's see how 9 gets buttressed, and I think we come back to it in 10 years and we go, okay, what is it? The same way that, like, I was at Celebration and there were people straight up wearing fan shirts of, like, Revenge of the Sith. And they're like, I love this movie. And I will be interested to see if that happens with 9.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Yes.
But I love that movie. Not Prevented the Sith, but Rise of Skywalker. I love Last Jedi. I love Rise of Skywalker. We're going to talk about that next season. But thank you for being here. We will be back. We got one more All-Star Minute this week, so make sure you tune in tomorrow for a brand new episode of
Star Wars Minute.